on to like Final Fantasy VI, but by the end of the game, it felt like Final Fantasy IV too, just with better characters and better gameplay. Now, I love the aspect of on paper and in practice. It also feels like the story actually exists and it's not just a series of cutscenes that don't connect to each other. Another major drawback of this game is how many characters exist in the game. Now, I love having a large cast, and I love how each character looks so different from the rest of the characters. I just wish that each person was compelling as, say, Terra or Celeste, or Figaro of others. I love the combat system, but sadly towards the end of the game, if you didn't try to level up everyone equally, the final dungeon becomes so much harder, sadly. Overall, this game by most could be considered a best overall game in the 2D series. I personally prefer Final Fantasy V to 6 because I felt the character moments were a bit better, and an overall better class system was in place in Final Fantasy V. I personally prefer Final Fantasy V to Final Fantasy VI because I felt the character moments were a bit better, and an overall better class system was in place in Final Fantasy V. Let's talk about the story, which I liked up until the big twist of the game, where I felt the story fell to a backseat to the gameplay. Don't get me wrong, there are some excellent one-off scenes. I especially like the realm scenario where you go through a haunted mansion. At the end, you see the boss of the mansion get corrupted by a magicite that he had bought in the auction house. Also, one of the most iconic moments in video game history, which looks so good with the Pixel remaster, which is the Opera House scene. Also, I was not expecting the Opera House scene to go so well with the voice acting and how pretty the visuals are in the game. In the early chapters, you get Terra, Locke, Sven, Edgar, and Celeste, which are all great in their own way. Meanwhile, the rest of the characters are fine. They just aren't as compelling as the characters above, sadly. That includes in the gameplay as well. Overall, there was a couple moments throughout the game where I enjoyed the story, but these moments are fleeting. I just wish there was more focus on story in the second half rather than the gameplay. I love the magicite system in this game. I just wish we get it sooner and it was easier to get magic in the early game. It felt so excruciatingly long to get a new spell because of the multiplier being so slow. It's not as bad as Final Fantasy V, luckily, where you only can grind the final dungeon of the game, compared to Final Fantasy V. Compared to Final Fantasy V, Final Fantasy VI has more early game spells, although each summon you get has a different effect that can be useful to you. Then you have some archetypes through the items you can equip like people in the past games. Like getting the jump command through the dragon boots. I also like how a new character you get has their own special action like in Final Fantasy IV, but slightly better, because if you want to use guild toss, you can have it on any character you wish. I didn't use some and stuff on this playthrough, but they sound really useful, especially Phoenix, which provide party members for the high price of 110 MP, which brings us to two final dungeons that I really like the idea of, just not the execution of them, which are the Phoenix Cave and the final dungeon, Kefka's Tower. This game decides that you need at least two parties to progress in the final two dungeons of the game, which is a really cool idea with 12 playable characters. But then you realize you have to carry the party with less useful characters in with you, which is fine if you level the characters that you have, but this is hard to do at times because of how quickly you get new party members. Don't get me wrong, I love these characters and how some of them play, but the cast is very front-loaded in my opinion. Overall, the combat takes the best aspects of previous games and reiterates on their ideas to get the best combat in the series so far. I wish he had more motivation than to just want the power of a god, but nonetheless, he was a fun villain, a lot like X-Stuff, come to think of it. After what Kefka did to the world, he's a fun villain to beat. I also love the final boss fight, which is like a gauntlet of gods against a party of demigods, since they all look so opposing compared to us. Overall, I like Final Fantasy VI, not as much as I hope I would like it though. The story had much to be desired, but the character moments, as always, were amazing. Then you have the amazing gameplay, the best so far, since you have customization and specific character abilities which are situational but very helpful in the right spot. I would say this is the best overall game I've played thus far. Sadly, I feel the cast is so front-loaded. All in all, I highly recommend this game to people who want to play a Snes era RPG, if only to see the fun characters and an optimistic, hopeful ending to an FF game.